Hello loves, so I'm gonna do a bit of a sexist video today because I'm gonna talk about a book that I didn't like and it was written by a woman. So objectively, honestly, I'm just sexist. It doesn't help that this woman is also British, or at least it's written for British people. Yeah, I don't know if she's British. I didn't do my research on her as a person. But it is talking about British history, so that's why I'm doing this silly accent, and this is what we're gonna deal with. Now, but joking aside, this is about the Mists of Avalon, okay? And it's written by Marion Zimmer Bradley. I just realized her name is Marion, one of the main characters in the book. Marion, Maid Marian. That's Robin Hood. Never mind. Cancel. Can we just edit that out? Yeah, we can. We're not going to. Oh, okay. Thanks. But no, for nothing. Yeah, not a problem. Anyways, so it's called Mists of Avalon. This is one of like 6 books. And it was suggested to me a long time ago, actually. I think my mom suggested it, and my sister suggested it, and was like, yeah, this is so amazing. Like, if you like fantasy, you should check this out. And this is like, before like feminism was like really hot and heavy, it was suggested as like, oh, this is like pro women and power of women and stuff like that. And I don't know what my thoughts were then. I think at some point I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. And I never did. Because I wanted to read cooler stuff. I don't know. And then somebody recently suggested to me, and I'm sorry to that person if they're watching, because I finally did. I read it, and I didn't like it at all. And it's kind of annoying because I think it was suggested for me to watch the animated series or not animated, the series, because it's like a short TV 10 episode thing, and then read the book to do a juxtaposition, because usually I read the book first and then I watch the film. In this case, whatever. Maybe I should do that for Wicked, where I haven't read the book, so I can read the book now after seeing the movie and be like, oh, yeah, book's garbage. They did an amazing job with the movie. Because I like the movie, and if the book is subpar, then that's what's going to happen. So, Mists of Avalon, from the outset, I already didn't like the concept, okay? Just being honest. It wasn't because it was a female writer. I just already was just not enthused by this idea. It's about King Arthur, or the time around King Arthur. I like that timeline. I think it's interesting. It's fascinating. It's great mythology for England and Europe as a whole, but really just for the UK. And I enjoy it. And this is fantasy. I mean, fantasy fiction. I don't know, historical fiction. It's kind of weird because it uses magic lightly. So technically that would be fantasy. And as far as I understand, there isn't really solid evidence that Arthur was who he was. So it's kind of just fantasy. We're just going to call it fantasy. Because I don't know if it's like based on any like hard truths. And this is pretty much a story from the female perspective, and pretty much before this first book is before Arthur kind of becomes Arthur. Effectively, it's actually the prequel to King Arthur, and him being his thing. It's the prequel to that. Now, I want to say cheeky, mean things like, yeah, this book's just all about feelings, and that's just a bunch of women going around talking to each other about their feelings and what they liked and how the weather was and how they're cold, and I wish I could buy some more scarves and stuff like that. And in a weird way, there was elements of that. There was parts of that, and it felt a bit annoying to me. There was other interesting points, like the prequel stuff from a different perspective, that I kind of applauded and thought was interesting and worthwhile to read and to get into. but I didn't like the book. I felt like if you were to take all of these momentous things that are happening and you take all of the fun and the drama and the intense life or death moments out of it, like drain it, and then you put, take that, and then that's what this book was out of the action, out of the battles, out of all the grittiness, you have this journey that this woman is having, and then later her daughter is having, to kind of be herself and to learn these things. And it's told through like 20 years, maybe 10 years, 15 years, somewhere in there. It's told over a span of time, and there's no real like lock on of like, oh, this year, because they have no idea. But you're kind of left with like, okay, I think I'm following along based on general ideas of how old people are, but you're kind of obscure as to how long things have been and why they've been there. And you're really just following these two, one woman initially and then her daughter later, and the choices that they make and how that impacts, and kind of this idea of like, not faith, but preordained destiny, which I generally don't like anyways. I hate this idea. I understand that it's there. Like, it's there in one of my favorite series, Wheel of Time, where it's like, oh, this is down to happen, and like, yada, yada, yada. But what I appreciate about Wheel of Time and other books, series that do this well, is like, it's not set in stone. It's not literal that it has to be this way. It can happen this way in a myriad of different ways. It's kind of how you interpret it, and like, so the idea of choice is still present. You can still do things. You can still make decisions. Whereas with this book, I felt like, no, even though we're following the woman, I felt like both women in the book were kind of stripped of choice and stripped of decision making. And the older one kind of succumbed to that was her lot in life and gave birth to Arthur. And then the younger one is like, well, but I don't succumb to that. Like, no. And then she decided to go her own way at the end of the book. And I'm like, I don't know what you're trying to tell me here, book. Like, both of these women have done bad things objectively, and you're kind of inferring that like they don't have a choice, but then one decides they do and the other one doesn't. And it just felt super boring, and I started it and I almost set it down, and I was like, no, I should get through it. And I'm gonna hate watching the series, because I'm pretty sure the series is gonna be better than the book, because the book was horrible. So I don't suggest this book to anyone. I think that maybe if a woman read this book, maybe she would enjoy it more, because for me, it was lacking any of the things I really like about in books. And yeah, so maybe a woman or a different person would appreciate this, but I didn't. All I got from it, all I really enjoyed from it was this was kind of a preamble to King Arthur and an interesting kind of like setup to the world and the whole Camelot and the sword and stuff like that. And from that perspective, I really thought they did a good job of kind of building the world. But outside of that, I wouldn't suggest this book. Miss of Avalon, not knocking the author, and it's not because she's a female, it's just, I just didn't enjoy it. And I get that it's very successful and that there's lots of people who like it. The people I know who said they liked it all were women, so that's it. But yeah, you check it out. Let me know. Please like, subscribe, and share it with people. And please tell me what you thought about the book, and if there's another book that you'd have me read, because I'm constantly reading and listening to books as well as podcasts and trying to catch up with movies and TV shows. I have some more stuff to do to catch up with that. But yeah, let me know what you like and what you want more of. Okay, love you all. Bye.